Our laws as it pertains to substances are draconian and bizarre. The psychopaths start this way. He was an alcoholic because of social media and pornography, PTSD, love addiction, fentanyl and heroin. Ridiculous. I'm a doctor, for sake. Where the hell do you think I learned that? I'm just saying, you go to treatment before you kill people. I am a clinician. I observe things about these chemicals. Let's just deal with what's real. We used to get these calls on Loveline all the time. Educate adolescents and to prevent and to treat. If you have trouble you can't stop and you want help stop it, I can help. I got a lot to say. I got a lot more to say.
Very special day today. A friend of ours graciously agreed to come in and give you an update on her unbelievable mishaps across the last couple of days. The great Heather McDonald, Juicy Scoop. Heather, come on in here. Let's get you. Let's get everybody updated. You look very glamorous in your sunglasses. First, explain why the sunglasses.
Uh-oh. Can't hear.
Oh, we have no sound again.
Not again.
We have no sound. Wait, hang a second. No sound. One more.
Peter.
No sound.
Peter.
We may need to reset you.
He had the same problem before.
I know. We got to yell for Peter. Peter. Peter, fix this. Here he comes. He's coming in. Let's take her off the screen for a second. And,
okay.
I can fill people in a little bit on what happened. So that's Heather McDonald, comedian, Juicy Scoops podcast. We recommend it most highly. Oh, it's you're back again. You're back. You're back.
Oh, now I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Okay, we hear you now. So
okay, they say
the sunglasses.
Okay.
Sunglasses are because.
So I guess when I fell on stage doing stand-up, I fell right back. Nothing broke my fall. I was alone on stage, so I didn't have anything to grab or any human to grab. And because of the concussion and the skull fracture on my head, I guess that caused two black eyes, which is I wasn't aware of happens, when people suffer head trauma. So I didn't even discover
so a classic,
it.
Yeah. Classic sign of skull fracture is what's called raccoon eyes, where you get completely blue orbits. And Heather piled makeup on, but still couldn't hide the raccoon's eyes. So she's going for it and just going to look like a movie star with the sunglasses.
Looks great.
Yeah, you still look great. So congratulations on getting through that. Now, you said nothing broke your fall. You couldn't grab. I've watched your video several times, and I'm here to tell you, you lost consciousness and then fell down. There would be no grabbing of anything because you were already unconscious. Then you hit your head, which added to the concussion and further lack of consciousness with about 15 seconds down?
In watching the video, the whole video, because the club films your whole set. I was down for a while, and there was a little bit of movement with my stomach, like a rapid breathing that I could tell from my top. And then, people started coming up, and then it's I woke up and it was like a movie where all the faces are around you. What happened? They always do that scene from the perspective of the person that's passed out. I do wonder though, so when I remember being on stage and I had this and I was like, whoa, what the fuck is happening? I'm holding my mic and I can see everything, but it's a really dizziness. And I was like, woo, I better power through this. This better go away. I don't know how I'm going to do another hour and 10 minutes of material. And then I think that's when I took a couple steps to kind of and then I don't remember anything else. And I was like, oh my God. And then I pass out, which you see. I am kind of wondering though, had I not been on stage and I felt that way, I would have, grabbed on someone or sat down.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I wouldn't have passed out though. Maybe I would have then,
that's
had
possible.
a sip of water, had something to eat and been fine. It's because I had no place to go or grab, then, and then of course, where it happened and everything. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And then everyone started texting you, what happened?
Yeah. Yeah. And everyone was so sweet and nice. And I'm just at a certain point, they say, you're supposed one thing they want me to do is not be on my phone, not watching TikTok videos on my phone and texting too much on my phone. And, our friend Josh Flagg is like, what happened? I'm like, okay, at this point, there's actual like articles you can read. And so finally I'm like, I don't mean to be a bitch, but can you just listen to the podcast? Like I say the whole story in detail. I really don't feel like texting it out with a brain injury. Okay.
Yeah. So speaking of the brain, good job. I'm sure Josh was fine. And given the brain injury, do you are aware of any effects of that now? Any memory issue, thinking problems, mood problems, sleeping issues, irritability, anything like that?
I feel very lucky to cognitively have no problems. And I really didn't even right from the start, and them asking me questions, always coming in the room, asking me my name, the year, the time, the date, the president, squeeze my hand, lift up this. I was always able to do all that. Yeah, I mean, sometimes if my head kind of hurts, I'm only taking Tylenol. They said, well, we've got Oxycontin for you. I said, no, thank you. I've watched enough of the movie with
again.
Michael
People want
no.
Right, exactly. People want to blame the whatever the family was that pushed that stuff. It's the doctors, and they're still pushing it. Jesus.
And I said, and they're, oh, really? You had a really bad. I go, no. I go, you know what? When I gave birth, they gave me something Norco or something. I'm like, it made me nauseous. I already threw up once right after the head injury, twice actually. I'm like, just Tylenol, just the Tylenol. And the Tylenol has been doing the job. So I just have been taking Tylenol like every 4 to 6 hours. And, the back of my head is sore. So I put some ice on there, like on a pillow when I rest. But no, the sleeping's been okay, actually,
Good.
It's been not great,
Good.
but it's not like I'm getting the hours. Yeah.
Do you have your discharge papers? Do you know what's on the discharge sheets? Exactly what they called everything?
No, I haven't really examined it. I mean, I talked to there were like 4 different neurosurgeons that everybody looked at everything and they asked me every question. I'm not on any medication. They did 2 CAT scans. The second CAT scan the morning after, they said it's starting to heal, which was the bleeding on the brain from the skull fracture. So they're like, that's just going to, go. Then we did you wanted me to do the echocardio. We did that one.
Mm-hmm.
And that appeared to be fine. That's checking the heart valves. So, I mean, honestly, they just don't really know why. I've never fainted before. So.
And did Chelsea faint also? Do we know what happened to her?
I found out a little bit more in that, what I didn't realize is that she had some type of, I think she may have had some type of panic heart racing kind of a thing, but I'm not sure. Just that her photo showed that she had a couple things, looks like it was, monitoring the chest area. So she, I think, did her show Thursday night and didn't feel well after, and then canceled her Friday and Saturday. And then that Friday I did my show and then, passed out on Saturday. So like, yeah, it's just crazy that, we worked together and know each other and this happened. And, when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's too bad. I wonder if she was in the hospital with, like, I wasn't, but she was like, I'm going to be fine. And I'm, just whatever, going to schedule it. But she, I think, is canceling a few more shows. I'm not sure. So that she's really taking like a solid amount of weeks off. I fortunately don't have another show until the end of March, which I feel confident I'll be able to do fine. I'm really glad I don't have shows this weekend. I would not want to be standing up and doing a whole hour. But I mean, I just recorded my podcast for tomorrow with Sarah Colonna. Of course, sitting here, but I'm fine to be on for a couple hours, but I'm trying to take it easy.
Did Sarah just give you shit, or was she sympathetic?
No, she was great. She was actually one of the first people to text, and my son Drake, who goes to ASU, was in the car with me. As you know, I am married to Peter Tobias, and he is very cheap. So the first thing my son Drake, also known as Peter Jr., said, we are refusing the ambulance ride. 100% refusing the ambulance ride.
I don't want to pay for that. I'll drive her myself.
No. So
Oh
Drake
my
was in the
God.
back seat with me and my sister-in-law who lives in Peter's sister who lives in Arizona. She was great. She's like, I'm taking you to the hospital I know that you should go to with this great neurological center. And it was a great hospital, St. Joseph's. I was very happy with it. I mean, the only time I've been to the hospital is I went home with a baby. So like, it's not like I'm familiar with
Right.
what it's like to have an IV in my arm or anything. And so, but in the back seat, Drake had my phone and he was like, "Oh, Sarah's asking, what, are you okay?" And, because all of a sudden fans started like DMing people that they know that I'm friends with, that, they follow all of us. So a lot of people knew right away. And then, then the actual news got out too.
Well, when you open in later March, don't make any jokes about Jesus or Jesus saving you from COVID or anything like that, because you might get struck down again.
I always joke about that because I talk about being Catholic and Jesus, and some people are like, not okay with the way I talk about. And I'm like, oh, Jesus thinks I'm a hoot, whatever. And so in never, it's so interesting, Drew, because like before the vaccine, I got a lot of shit for not stopping my show, for going out, going to Mexico, all this stuff. But I never got COVID. And then when the vaccine came out, I got it, so I'm kind of like, I come out on stage, like, I don't care if you don't get it, but like, just so you know, I did everything I'm supposed to do. Stop giving me shit,
Right.
and then,
Right.
and I've never gotten COVID, where I'm like, at a certain point, you're like, well, now wait a minute. Is something wrong with me? Like, or are we just the chosen people, like joking about it? And then I literally, I told my assistant, I go, can we do a TikTok where you just make like a floating Jesus just come down and like flick me, like flick me and I just fall over, like clearly Jesus loves you the most, like flick, and I just fall over. Yeah,
good.
I mean, and the comments on these YouTubes and stuff of people just being like, first time a female comedian made me laugh, just awful. It's like, whatever. Yeah. I have to say, it was the best comedic timing of my life.
I bet we're going to look at it in just a second here, but I bet the Juicy Scoop world rushed in to support you.
Yeah. I mean, that was so funny because when I was at the hospital, the security came and they're like, we put you on celebrity status and we want to make sure that, people aren't going to come up, do you need any special protocol? I'm like, I probably just have some like Phoenix moms that like want to bring me some cookies. Like I don't have like a psycho, I'm not Bret Michaels, who actually happened to, that's where he went when he had his like brain situation, with the same hospital. And they're like, oh, do you want to see the Bret Michaels room? He donated some guitars here. So I'm like, no, you don't need to worry about like rock a love type of crowd here. I'm, I just have some classy moms that might want to like see how I'm doing. Yeah.
Bring flowers.
90 Day Fiance fans.
Exactly.
Or Housewife fans. Well, let's watch.
Exactly.
Susan, do you have any questions for Heather before I go to the video here?
I'm just, I'm so glad she's okay. My dad had a subdural hematoma and he had a surgery, for it because he fell and he went back to work a week later. Like he was like, I gotta go back to the hardware store. So but you can bounce back. He seemed to be okay even after the surgery.
And I know it was cheap.
But I'm glad it wasn't worse. I'm so glad.
Your husband, who you've called cheap, and a slave driver that put you right back up on the podcast. But Caleb, I want you to jump in and tell Heather what you told me.
Oh, how that was absolutely genius. You hit it while the news was hot. Like I woke up this morning to you on the front page of yahoo.com, and immediately the first result is your own podcast. So great job. You couldn't have planned it better.
Heather was like,
comedic timing.
Heather was like, who did that? I said, her husband made her do that.
Yeah.
And I said, well, at least she gets some benefit from it.
I know, but I would hate for something horrible to happen to you. I was just like, I was stunned. I was like, I saw it. I was like, oh no. This is so, I didn't look at social media.
And I was having such a fun weekend.
Yeah, one of your fans called me, let me know, so that was nice.
Yeah, it was one of our community,
one of your Patreon
our
followers.
crossover community between locals Ask Dr. Drew and Juicy Scoop. There's a little bit of overlap there, and so
I love it.
Thank God,
Love it.
because Drew was in the shower and I was
in the shower. She goes, "Get out! You gotta look at this video. Like, you got to call Heather." I'm like, "She's in the hospital. I don't want to be one of these people that's calling her in the hospital."
I said, "Call Peter."
So I called Peter. So
yes, no, we appreciated that we were able to talk to you. Yeah, that was helpful.
No problem. So I was worried that it was we've seen some weird vaccine reactions, and most of them have been benign, but fainting is one of those things. And I had worried that there was something to do with that, which I still worry about it, because you've never fainted before. And what's a healthy adult fainting all of a sudden? I mean, straight away fainting, that's weird. And there is something called POTS syndrome. Those of you who had it after COVID or after the vaccine know that we get these problems from the spike protein that change our ability to modulate our blood pressure. It's called POTS, POTS syndrome. It's sort of an autonomic dysfunction. And I suspect you had some little version of that. And like you said, had you not been up on stage, you could have sat down and put your head between your legs and probably been just fine. But that you were up there with no place to go, you pushed through, boom, and that's it. Your pressure dropped. And let's take a look at it.
And I mean, okay, go ahead.
Clearly, Jesus loves me the most. Seriously. So nice. So nice.
Boom. You were already unconscious. Do you see that? Your head was flipping back before you got to the ground. And then I saw where Jesus came down and flicked you, though. I saw that.
Yeah.
And so, oh, this is the whole tape. This is where people.
Yeah.
911. Wow. So there you go. And you were about to say something before the tape. You want to finish that thought?
I can't remember what we were saying before.
So hard to watch. It's so hard to watch.
Yeah.
I got the chills, and I just was like, I was watching you breathe. I was just like, thank God she's breathing. But her arm was moving, Drew. You know how you say when like
my arm was kind of like my arm was doing something weird.
Yeah. People get weird like posturing. Well, they'll go like this. They'll kind of go into this sort of motorcycle pose when they hit their head. Sort of a common thing. It's kind of a seizure thing.
Ask you. So we looked back, and I did get the booster, which I had double Pfizer and Moderna booster, 3 weeks to the day of the fall. Is there anything that you've seen about time-wise? Because, when I asked the doctors about that, they said, oh, normally. Okay, go ahead.
2 to 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks is where you see a lot of this stuff. I have a friend that got the booster, and he got really destroyed by it. He still can't walk across the room. He's having all kinds of symptoms. There's a lot of funny stuff. We don't really know what it all is and where it's coming from, but it's still worth doing it. I'm not at the point where I'm saying that it's still worth the risk, but it's got a lot of funny side effects, and syncope, it's called. Fainting is one of them, and I think it's from the POTS syndrome, POTS. And so, I was worried. What I wanted to check was to make sure you didn't have any evidence of myocarditis. When you were, that's why I wanted that, which is an inflammation of the heart, and it changes the way the heart muscle functions a little bit. And that's why I was red hot on that echocardiogram.
Right. Yeah. I mean, what can I do now? Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'm going to get the 4th booster, though. I will say that.
There is not there's not yet evidence. There's not science for that yet.
I'm done right now.
If you were 80, we'd be talking about it. I literally talked about it to my 75 and 80-year-old patients this morning, that I was telling them, I think you're going to probably need it. You don't need it. There's no evidence for that. But the other thing that happened is you got a multi-million-dollar stroke workup, man. They did so much. They did an MRI, MRA. They did vascular studies of your neck and your heart. They did a great, huge workup on you. You must have been in that MRI scanner a lot.
Yeah, I think I went in a couple times, and then they did ultrasound for the heart and the neck area. They came in, and I mean, I didn't know. I mean, that was my scary thing when they were like, "Okay, you're going to spend the night in the ICU," and I was like, "Oh, geez," And then they're like, "And we have to give you this sponge bath and all this stuff, so that you're ready to go in case we have to do a procedure." And I was like, whoa, am I going to wake up with like a shaven head, and you guys are going to like do an emergency brain surgery? Like, that's what I was like, do I need my husband here? Because I don't want that to happen. I don't want to die, but like, and then they were like, no, that won't happen. I was like, okay. Cause I was scared. Like, do I have some ticking time bomb? Do I have some brain tumor I didn't know about? I mean, that is what I was initially thinking when I was like on the way to the hospital.
Right. And then
So
they,
I
of
was
course,
really
and that
happy
can
to
happen
know.
that way. Yes. Yes, it can happen that way. And they check that very, very carefully. The issue with your subdural, which is a bleeding right under the skull, is sometimes they do have to put a hole in your skull and drain it, but not when they're real small. So you must have a very small one that those resorb on their own. Are they following? Are you needing a follow-up scan in another week or two?
No scan, just like a conversation, because the next day I did a scan and they said it's already starting to heal. So it'll just heal naturally. And, fortunately, like there's no open wound or anything. So I was really lucky in that respect.
Wow. Well, listen, we
Wow.
wanted to just do a checkup on you. I appreciate you stopping by. Everybody go to Juicy Scoop. Is there an episode coming online tonight?
Yeah, there's a new episode that you can listen to right now, and then there'll be another one first thing, Thursday with Sarah Colonna, where we talk about some fun stuff. Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee, that movie, and Tinder Swindler, and some more fun stuff. But it's all Juicy Scoop. It's listen to it whenever you are free, every Tuesday and Thursday.
Give us a Juicy Scoop. I saw you in front of the Salt Lake City Church for what's her name. That seemed to be a moment for you.
Okay. So the Real Housewives of Salt Lake have an actual church leader. This woman who, if you are a Christian, she acts about the least Christian way you can. She's cruel. She's mean. She only wears designer clothes. She calls people fat and everything else. Anyway, so we go to her church, which is now boarded up, and her tagline is, "If you come for me, I'll send Jesus for you." So I just did a big, long episode exposing her as a cult leader and like all the things that her weird church does. So everyone's like, "Do you think Mary sent Jesus for you?" I'm like, "Yes, she did." And he came down and he flicked me.
He flicked you straight away. And listen, on this podcast, on this streaming show, we thought of you the other day. We interviewed Stephanie from 90 Days Fiancé. Do you know who she is?
Fart jar girl.
Yes, I remember her. Yeah. How's she doing?
She's fun. You should interview her. She'd come on in a millisecond, I'm sure. She's got
okay.
Cool. As always, there's a whole lot more
from her fart jar NFTs.
Yeah, selling her fart jars. And as always, there's a lot more going on than.
So can she no longer produce the farts health-wise? So
it's complicated. She really didn't have anything going on. The farts didn't really cause her health problem, but she has a long history of something called aplastic anemia, which is a really dangerous bone marrow disease. And so she's on immunosuppressives and all this stuff. And she's like, you know what? I don't want to screw myself up anymore. She switched it to something else. Kayla, do you remember what else she's selling now?
There's NFTs. She's got instead of like physically
NFTs,
having to
fart
do
jar
it,
NFTs.
Yeah, exactly.
She sells the NFTs of the fart jar.
Amazing.
Kind of genius.
Well,
kind of genius.
Is it as genius as selling this?
Yes. Well, talk to your friend Susan about that.
Look at that, ladies. You two can have a Dr. Drew bobblehead.
I want to know. Wait, I want to get in the camera. I want to know.
It's in there.
Do your kids have this? And how weird if it was like in their bedroom staring at them when they have a date over, like just like, hello.
You're giving me ideas, but
I actually thought it'd be a cool vibrator.
Susan.
Yeah.
I know, Susan. Like if we were together right now, I'd just like go down on you with this face right here.
So save it for after dark.
So Heather, you can at least claim the head injury. My wife thinks and talks like that without head injury. So you can say I'm de-repressed.
You're catching
I say
up with
things
me, Heather.
Oh my God.
I don't know what I'm saying. I was hitting the head. Susan's like that all the time. She doesn't get hit in the head, and then that's how she talks. God knows what would happen. She'd be like one of those old man that just grabs at people when you walk by the wheelchair. Oh, that's me. So all right, listen, we'll let you go. Susan, anything else for Heather? I think you need to have Susan on Juicy Scoop because God knows what you'll get out of her.
No, I miss you very much, and I'm glad you're okay.
Yes,
And you what?
We'll do dinner soon. Let's do a dinner soon.
Yes, let's do dinner. And we're not doing anything for Super Bowl. We're being old, lazy people in front of our TV with a glass of wine.
Take it easy. Go home. We'll see you very soon, okay?
Bye.
All right, bye. Bye. Thank you for stopping by. The great Heather McDonald, everybody. What is her Instagram? Let's get the Instagram out.
At Heather McDonald.
The Instagram is at Heather McDonald. Okay. And again, put it up there if you would on the banner, Caleb, just so we have it up for a minute. Because I still hear her. MC, there you are. MC doing LED. No, not Mac.
She is she's one of the top podcasts in comedy, and
consistently.
Yes, she's got the highest reviews. She's very, very popular and has a great comedy show as well. We've been
lucky to be in with her and her friends who are also comedians and had some really fun times.
We're going to hang out with them in June. We're going to go to the wine festival in Catalina. I was thinking about her right as
John and
yes,
Sarah.
I think Sarah. Yeah, Kelowna. But I'm really glad we're friends. I can't remember how we met. Did we meet
Heather McDonald?
Yeah, you met her on your show on HLN, right?
No, I used to go on Chelsea.
Chelsea, that's right. You're on Chelsea.
And she was in the round table.
She was in the original Chelsea Handler.
I think it was the first week.
I mean, ridiculously in every show.
I didn't. That was one show I didn't kill. What's that?
It's still on camera.
What?
It's her husband.
Put him back. Let's bring him back. Bring him back.
Do you need to talk?
Hi, Peter. What's going on? You want to say hi? You couldn't resist.
I don't know if
you may not have mics. We can't hear you.
We can't hear
Peter
no
wants
mics.
to be. He wants to get the glasses so he can say it's a Peter bobblehead.
All right. Well,
we can't hear you.
Bye.
I love Peter.
You see how he looks
Peter
like we're going to sell this bobblehead without glasses. Alana, get on that. And you can sell the Peter bobblehead.
Peter's the mastermind behind Heather's success, and they've been together. They work together, and they, support each other. They're such a cute couple. I really love it.
Yeah, and so, but where I really got to know Heather,
he sails, so we get to go sail.
Yeah, where I really got to know Heather on, if you remember, there was a show called like After Lately or After Chelsea or something. Yeah. Remember when they had their own, the writers had their own show? That I did a bunch with Heather, and that's how kind of we got to know each other. And then I brought her back.
She was on your HLN show.
When I had my HLN show. So we've got the great Mike Carano standing by. We'll get to him in just a second. First, a little break. Be right back. Since the beginning of the pandemic, nearly 1 in 5 Americans has reported consuming an unhealthy amount of alcohol. Could be you, but only 10% of them are actually getting the help they need. Reframe is a neuroscience-based smartphone app that helps users cut back or quit drinking alcohol altogether. Using evidence-based tools, techniques, and content, Reframe guides users through a personalized program to help them reach their goals. Comprised of daily tasks, a comprehensive toolkit, a community forum, and accountability guides, Reframe is a modern, accessible, and affordable resource that can help anyone looking to reevaluate their relationship with alcohol. Reframe is backed by Harvard University and Emory University Schools of Medicine, and it is ranked the #1 alcohol reduction smartphone app worldwide with over 350,000 downloads. With Reframe, there's no stigma, just science, no labels, just support. To learn more, go to joinreframeapp.com/Dr. Drew. Use the code Dr. Drew for 25% off your first month or your annual subscription. That's at joinreframeapp.com/Dr. Drew. Let's talk about our friends at Hydralyte. I can't say enough about Hydralyte. You hear me talk about them all the time. It gets me through workouts and medical procedures and colonoscopies and COVID. It absolutely contributed to my recovery from COVID. Hydration is key to feeling healthy, and there's never been a time when that could be more important. We're in the height of cold flu season. Every headache has got you testing for COVID. Staying hydrated can keep the questionable symptoms at bay, and there's nothing better than Hydralyte to get it done. Taking their hydration formula one step further, now there is Hydralyte Plus Immunity. It starts with their fast-absorbing electrolytes and adds a host of great ingredients. Plus, each single-serve, easy-pour drink mix contains 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C and 300 milligrams of elderberry extract. Hydralyte Plus Immunity comes in convenient, easy-pour powder sticks that rapidly dissolve in water to make a great-tasting drink that has a 75% less sugar than your typical sports drink. It uses all-natural flavors. It's gluten-free, dairy-free, caffeine-free, non-GMO, and even vegan. Hydrolyte Plus Immunity is also now available in ready-to-drink bottles at the Walmart next to the pharmacy, or as always, you can find it by visiting hydrolyte.com/Dr. Drew. That is HYDRALYTE.com/Dr. Drew. And be sure to use that code Dr. Drew 25 at checkout for a special discount. And we are back. Heather McDonald, thank you for stopping by and saying hi to us. Oh, and that is Mike Carano. Mike, why don't we bring you right in? Mike Carano.
Do we have audio? Am I all right?
We have audio.
Yes,
I hear you. There you are. How are you, sir?
Does it sound all right? Is it this microphone or is it these headphones?
I think it's your mic in front of you because I heard yours tapping.
It clicked, yeah.
And
you're kind of close, though. Can you back up a little bit?
Your head's too big, according to Susan, so back up.
There's worth of microphones in here. And
well, I want you to know you sound
cables for any of them.
You sound better than most people do, so it's good. You're getting good
you sound good,
in.
but I can't see the top of your head.
So
you mean
she
my
wants you to back up a little
bit. Audio
Can you just turn? Are you
like
doing
this?
it off your computer or?
There you go. Back. That's a little better. And then point the camera up towards your head a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Point it up a little bit more.
I don't like that.
Let's just cut off.
You're going to see my balls.
Cut off Drew's head.
I don't like people looking at
that.
No,
we can't. Now I see it. I can see it when you bend over.
Cutting off the head is fine.
All right, perfect. Well, Susan gets really weird about matching
I just don't
boxes.
like when I mean, you're a photographer, and I watch a lot of these Zoom things on the news and stuff. And when they have like the guest face so close, and then the hosts are way in the back, I just find that just drives me crazy.
So there you go.
And I keep telling Caleb, make
in that case,
your head bigger.
Because I'm a rebel. Let's do this.
Right, it's better. It's good.
Any way I can give the old F you to anybody.
I'm making my job easy.
Caleb's chasing you.
I know, but it just looks weird.
So how have you been? I haven't talked to you forever. What's going on? Give us an update.
I know. I'm pretty good, man. I'm pretty good. I got a cat, and it's been very disruptive to my gypsy freewheeling lifestyle. And I kid you not, I'm not embellishing one bit. It's completely changed my life, and not for the better.
Oh,
I don't want him to hear me say that.
We have a cat coming.
I love him.
New York today.
I love him.
On an airplane right now, and he hasn't peed for 6 hours, so it's going to be really interesting. Drew and I are going to go to the airport with the Land Cruiser. I have a cat box in the back, and I'm going to park, and you're going to go get her, and you guys are going to like escort the cat in like it's
like it's landing
royalty,
the plane, landing the damn plane,
so it can jump in the back of the car and take a dump. I feel so bad. I don't know how long.
That cat's going to be shaken up.
Well, he was already kind of a mess.
He just had a urinary obstruction too. So
yeah, but she's got him all. How
much did that cost?
Yeah,
a lot.
Do you want to know?
A lot.
Should I tell
An
it?
insane
Should
amount.
I say it over the internet?
Because I'm $1,200 into my free.
No,
cat
no,
right
don't.
Now.
No,
Oh,
yeah. So we're keeping up with you. Let's just put it that way.
I know it better. I was like, that cat better live, Paulina. But it was in Manhattan.
Hey.
Okay. To be fair,
Hey, what, Mike?
It was in a snowstorm. She had to take it from Brooklyn to Midtown and put it in an ER for 2 days because there was a snowstorm and nobody could go out. So it might have been cheaper if it didn't have to stay the extra night in the snow, because New York was basically shut down.
Hey, what, Mike? You were trying to say something.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, I've run the gamut on trying to keep my cat satisfied and avoid him being bored. I've got in here right now, I've got 3-4 cat tents. I've got 2 cat perches. I've got a $400 cat wheel he can run on, probably 30 toys on the ground, scratchy pads, all these kitchen implements. And then I went with the laser toys. And the laser toys are a friggin' nightmare. Do not do it. Don't do it.
Why? Why?
He got so hyped up by the laser. He went in the kitchen and hyperventilated, like laying on the ground going for 5 minutes. And I thought he was going to die. And then I gave it 2 days and I tried to wear him out. This is like 3 days ago. I tried to wear him out, and there's a robot laser that shoots it on the floor. And he took it as the biggest threat any living creature could imagine. and fought it for like 4 minutes, never caught it, obviously, and then went in and had diarrhea and threw up. And I'm like, this is not good.
Yeah,
So
her cat
avoid the
throws up a
laser.
lot too
Oh, come
on
on.
my white carpet.
He's so busy now. It keeps
So
him
yeah,
busy.
that'll cost me another $600 to clean. But maybe if you need to dump a few of those fun
Wait.
toys, you can bring one over for Jack.
Yeah, we'll take them.
Got a lot. I've got a lot. By the way, I think the idea of having white carpet is the most pretentious thing anyone could possibly do.
I know I got talked into it by a designer, and it's the only thing I hated about her. I
The
mean,
white
she was
carpet?
really good. Yeah.
Would
I
you get
usually
white
fire
interior on your
my-
car?
No. And I said, why are you putting in white? Because you should. And I was like, oh, and then I got talked into it. I really did. And I fought it the whole way. So
Where is
I
it?
should
In
have
your
gone
room?
with my instinct. New York.
The
It's in the
bedroom. Is
it in your
apartment. It doesn't
bedroom?
have animals in it.
Oh,
Yes.
It wasn't supposed to have
Okay. Just
the
animals in it,
bedroom.
okay? It was just a short stay by the kitty.
And by animals, we're including our children and other young people. And
yeah,
so,
yeah, exactly.
I have another animal in there today.
And so, Mike, you put up a video of the week after Susan's dad passed away, and she was having to run his hardware store and liquidate it and all.
I didn't put it up. That was a
Um,
private link for you guys.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, okay.
Well, I told everybody where
Susan
to go.
put it up. So,
I know.
Oh, you can
Okay.
share
Sorry,
it,
I
but
asked
it's a
if I
private link. Of course.
Okay.
It makes
Yeah,
no sense
so
otherwise.
it really touched me. It was fun to see, and you're very funny, and I wanted to tell you that was a pipe machine for, threading
Okay.
galvanized pipe.
he could literally he had a machine where he could put the threads on any pipe.
So it would cut
So you
the
could
length
screw
of
it in,
the
yeah.
Yeah.
metal, the galvanized pipe. When we were allowed to do galvanized pipe back
It
in
was
the
before
when I-
copper and plastic and all the other stuff.
And then he would cut it whatever length they needed, and he would thread it. So it was just this. And he was an engineer. He was an aeronautic engineer. So he had like all this crap in his garage too, like that. He had like lathes and these machines, and that thing was it was such a cool thing. I mean, I couldn't use it.
Oh,
I'd
so
be afraid.
not as
but
cool as the key making machine.
I still have that,
Key
Mike.
making
You
machine
can
is in
have
the
it.
garage.
You can
want it?
have it.
Oh, that's so funny because I was going to say I should have bought that thing because I would like to have a key making machine just sitting in the corner. How much do you want for it?
I have it.
You would make an amazing cat toy. The cat would go insane with all the keys. Literally, it'd go vomit in the kitchen.
Oh
again.
yeah,
So
with
you
all
have
the
to be
little
careful with that.
pieces of. Oh my God, I had to clean up
Is it
so much
time to get rid of the key machine?
key
Susan?
shavings. I mean, when I walked into his hardware store, the whole area was just covered with key shavings. I had to put it all in like a box and like clean it up, and I kept a little piece of it. And when I got his ashes, I made a little box on the side, and I put his ashes in with the key shavings. And he's
admitting this.
He's actually
publicly.
now.
Did he have an
He's
affinity
actually-
towards
he was
making
the-
keys?
He just made keys until he died, literally. And I had to make them too when people
Okay.
came in every day. And I stuck it in the safe, and it's in my garage.
So if you want the key machine,
So it
Susan,
has
you ready
And the
to-
sentimental
safe.
value.
You have to. Yeah.
Are you prepared to get rid of that key machine, or is it?
I
is
don't
it time
know
to
if
let
Mike really
have it?
wants it. I mean, Drew's like, you got to
If
come
it's
over and check it
something-
out. I'll teach you. I'll teach you how
If
to
it's
make
something
weighs
you want to
about
sell,
1,000
I
pounds.
would.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to
Come
have
on
it.
over,
and
you
then
gotta
if
take a
want it
look.
back, you can have it back.
It's a lot of work to make that thing. I'll show it to you. It's pretty funny.
Oh, I'm not going to use it.
I
So-
love
just
it.
wanna
I
have
love it
sitting around.
too. Oh, and then it has all those like keys hanging on it and the top that go to cars that
Mhm.
don't even exist anymore. It's hysterical. It's
Yeah.
so classic. I don't know. I loved it.
And so, Mike, normally you have lots of questions for me, but especially when long periods of time have passed between our conversations. Are you so preoccupied with your
I'm trying to
cat
come up with a
that
story that's as good as me falling down and getting a concussion and having two black eyes.
you don't have to compete with that? You don't have to compete with that.
Please don't.
Normally you do have kind of interesting kinds of ideas, and now
Well, I
the
did slam my
meetings are back
penis
in.
in the bathroom door once.
Oh,
Congratulations! I'm happy
Ow.
for
I
you.
didn't
Everything
really do
turned
that.
out okay?
You know what I
No.
did do? I
No, you
did
didn't.
stab my testicles with a stick when I was a kid.
Of course you
I was
did.
running
as
with
is
a
the
croquet
custom.
mallet and it caught on the ground and it penetrated my testicles.
Oh.
So
It
that's
penetrated
why I
it.
have childhood trauma right there. Hmm
Did you have to have sutures?
I sure did.
I'm amazed you never mentioned this. Now, usually when that happens to young males, the testicle actually kind of falls out a little bit. Did you actually have the testicle outside the sac?
Mine became okay. You're turning my stomach right now because I'm very sensitive about that. But mine became more attractive. Believe it or not, it's weird. I don't know. That did happen. That really did happen. I was probably 7 or 8 years old. It was horrible. It was horrible.
And you didn't have any plastic surgery on it to make it even more attractive, like a,
you know what?
Tightening your Dartos tunic.
I had a lift. A
Dartos tunic lift.
It's like one big testicle.
Just it's
much more attractive.
So people know that the Dartos tunic is this thick layer in the testicle that gives the wrinkly. It's called the Dartos tunic. And
sounds good.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that.
I can. It
sounds like a Star Wars character. Yeah.
With my childhood trauma.
Okay.
We had
you tore your perineum?
No, we had archers in the family, so they bought my brother a bow and arrow, and I was about 2 or 3, and was running down the hall with an arrow in my mouth and fell on it.
Oh God.
I don't remember it.
Where'd it go?
That's the delay, everybody.
But
right
I
there.
heard the story.
Yeah.
I know. I don't know what they did.
Oh my God. But did it go into your throat?
It hurt. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How it didn't go into her brainstem, we'll never. Maybe it
That's
did.
like a
They might
funny
explain a little
story
something.
that my parents used to tell. Oh, remember the time when you fell on an arrow? And I was
this is when kids were kids and parents were parents.
What? I did what?
It's sitting back smoking and talking about the time you fell on the arrow we gave you.
My dad.
That was hysterical.
My dad is still the same guy. My dad's still the same guy. I swear to God. This is like he's 17 now, so it was when my nephew was 5 or 6. We were looking for him at family dinner, and he was downstairs with my dad, and we went down there, and my dad had him sitting on a piece of wood with a gun, shooting at a target like 50 feet away inside.
Oh.
My brother lost his mind. He needs to wear eye protection, and my dad said he doesn't need eye protection. It's fine.
Wow, that's a good Chrono story.
When I was a child, we would go to a park. We would go to a park in Tucson, Arizona, and one of my friends, the only friend who was strong enough to actually pull back a compound bow that his dad had, would get, I don't know if you've ever pulled a bow that's compound. It's very difficult at first, and then you get to this easy point due to physics, apparently, and it comes back easy. But we would shoot arrows up in the air and just sit like this on the ground, waiting for them to come down.
Oh my God.
So, once a genius, always a genius.
I think you one up me. You were actually a conscious person.
Oh my goodness.
No, you got shot in the throat with
called the Greek warriors. All right.
I was a child.
Running with an arrow in your mouth.
That's the title of Susan.
2.
That's the title of Susan's autobiography. Just running with an arrow in my mouth.
It's kind of it does depict my life, taking chances.
And so, Mike, are you still doing any trauma therapy?
I haven't been to therapy for about a year, but I think I'm going to go back for a little touch up, as they like to call it.
Explain to people, because I'm always talking about trauma treatment. You have a really good experience with it and a very vivid experience with it. Explain to people what it was like, EMDR type treatment, trauma treatment.
I didn't buy into it the first couple of visits. It didn't seem like it was doing anything. It seemed comical. You sit with these buzzers and you talk to your therapist, or you think for like a minute and a half while the buzzers are going off, and then you discuss what you were thinking about. The third time I did it, I had and I hate this terminology, but I had an absolute breakthrough experience that was unlike anything in my life. And it shook me up to the point where I genuinely thought she did something to my brain. Like, she hurt me in the long run, because I had a piercing headache. It lasted for days on end. I was shaken up like to my core for days. And then things just got tremendously better. And we had a couple of lesser experiences like that, but I can promise that it changed my perception of the reason I was going there in a big way. It was kind of amazing. I mean, the idea of how
it is amazing.
Was fascinating.
It's getting you access to parts of your. Yep. Go ahead.
Well, it's funny. It's funny because stuff came up that you know, my history. And there was a point when my brother and his wife had a baby and we were all sitting around with the baby. And my sister said, imagine doing to him what our mom did to us. And that began a 10-year experience of us all bonding over the stuff that we went through. And in the EMDR therapy, stuff came up that we had never discussed. Like we would go, did she really do this? And we'd be like, yeah, she did that to me. And it was, and I'm not trying to just sit here and blame my dead mom for everything right now what's going to happen now. But it was fascinating that you somehow have the ability to bury stuff that might be a big deal. And some of the stuff was a huge deal. And I think about it now, and I'm like, that's kind of funny that we just tuned that out and it came up. And then once you have to face it, you can find resolve in it. And I guess it's good.
It's literally that it's a survival mechanism that causes you to wall off from it. You just push it down and back.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you what you're talking about is regaining access to that, access to the part of yourself, to the material. And you're coming at it from a place where there's somebody there with you so they can support you through it. You can regulate it and build it and sort of figure it out. And funny, I've talked to your therapist a couple of times since you told me that first story. And she says, and I don't want to scare anybody from EMDR or trauma therapy, it always is bad. It's always tolerable. They only make it tolerable for you and you always get better. But she said some people, it's not uncommon for people to say, you broke my brain. You broke something, which is one of the things I think you were saying.
That's how I felt. Yeah. I was losing my mind. I was like, this really effed me up. Something's really wrong in here. It felt like there was a snap. But I don't think everybody has that experience. But like you just told me that I might be wrong about that. You know what? Here's the question that has been in my mind for a long, long time. I've seen the change happen when I recognize my bad habits, when I recognize the issues as to why I do things. But I don't understand why I need to recognize that stuff for me to make a change. Like, why do I need to understand my bad behavior is based on this? Based on my fear because of this as a child, or based on my anger because of this as a child? Like, why do I need to understand that to get over it? I don't get that.
I don't think you do. I don't think you do. That's not actually the way it works.
Great.
No. Listen. Insight is important so you understand what's happening to you. But what's actually happening is there's a part of yourself that's demanding attention and is unregulated, and you can't access it, and the EMDR gives you access. It's that simple. And once you have access, it can come into the rest of your central nervous system and regulate, so it's not there driving all those bad behaviors. So it's not the insight that makes you stop the behaviors, it's the access to that part of yourself that was hurt that's now in with the whole.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And just going, well, I see, mom hit me, therefore that's why I'm aggressive. That will not make you not aggressive. That will not help. That might make you go, that's why I drink, but it doesn't matter because you got to stop drinking and go to AA anyway, and you just got to live a certain kind of life. Mm-hmm. The insight is not going to make you stop drinking. You've seen that a million times in the program, right? They don't, all the insight in the world doesn't make you stop using drugs or stop doing drugs. But when you gain access, really integrated access to that part of your nervous system, you can then start to be integrated as a whole, and it settles down a lot of the emotions and motivations that are fucked up.
Okay, so then, well, a moment ago you said you don't need to access it, and now that you're implying that you do need to access
I'm saying, you're saying the cognitive process of understanding I got injured, that's why I drink. Oh, that'll help me stop drinking. No, it won't. No, it won't. You know that. It won't. You have to stop drinking and live a certain kind of life.
But I mean,
and by the same token, seeing that, I had trauma as a childhood doesn't do anything. That just tells you got to do some work where you gain access to that part of yourself. So again, it's regulated, not that it's understood, that it's actually accessed. It's actually it's part of you now, as opposed to off somewhere in the distance.
It does bring comfort at times knowing that when I'm scared or when I act out, the reason I'm doing it is because I'm afraid because of something that happened, or because I'm again afraid of the response I'm getting. You know what I mean? I do like understanding that the reason I'm so scared inside of everything is because I didn't feel safe at this point or whatever. I do like that.
That's right. And sometimes that diminishes its power. You know what I mean? If you want it to stop because of the insight, no, it doesn't really happen. But it diminishes its power. It can make you sometimes stop and go, maybe I can change my behavior around this time. You know, makes you stop and go, you know, and as you gain more and more access to it, you also, some of the feelings about the perpetrators start to settle down. You know what I mean? So your feelings of, you get,
That's what
like
I hear.
said,
I
your
wonder
mom's
what,
dead. You wonder when that's going to happen?
Well, it's also, you know what?
What that feels like?
I've accepted, well, let me tell you, I've accepted this, a little bit of insight into forgiving her. And it's not like, who am I to forgive somebody? But I've accepted to a point. I haven't done this fully, but that she did the best job she could with her mental illness. And what am I going to, you know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? People don't intentionally go, I'm going to be the worst person ever, because nobody who's not severely mentally ill would do that. And it's a tough pill to swallow, but I think it brings great relief. And it gives me the freedom to screw with someone else, which is what I'm looking for.
No, it's you made Caleb Brett crack up. No, it's exactly what I was saying, which is that you go, there's nothing okay about what she did. Nothing. Not okay at all. But she was sick. What are you going to do? I was the one that was there. I'm unhappy that I was there, but I can't be resentful and blaming and all those things that I was, which then if you hold on to all that shit, it colors how you see other people. And if you can find sort of a way to understand what happened to you, unfortunately, nothing right about it, nothing okay, it changes your feeling about yourself, changes your feeling about other people, which is really important.
Yeah, you want to hear something crazy that I never thought I would say, which is bizarre. I did not have a pleasant time with my mom for, I'm guessing, 40, 45 years maybe. Like, it was never pleasant, ever. I would drive to San Diego and I'd be hey, want me to come in and hang out for a few minutes? I'm outside. Yeah, I don't really feel like it. That's how she treated it every week after I drove 2.5 hours for a decade. But lately, for the first time, I've actually been missing her, which is so bizarre. Like, what am I missing? I don't understand it. It wasn't like there's all these pleasant memories, but I feel sad that she's not here and I wish she was still around.
So wait a minute. Did you have a positive? Yeah. Did you have a positive experience with her before she died?
No. Oh yeah, I did. Right before, like I went over to visit her. She was reluctant and I was reluctant. And I went over to visit her and I looked at her and I went, she's going to die right now. And I told my brother, I go, you got to come over. Mom's going to die. And we all came over and I went over to her and said, I love you. And I gave her a kiss. And that wasn't the norm. And I left. And the next morning she died. You know, I mean, my brother Joey called me and said she's on a gurney and they're pumping her chest. You know what's funny about it though, is she was, again, very, very, very mentally ill. And I don't know if pathological is the worst, but it was all a lie. Everything was a lie for attention or for whatever reason. And as the guy is putting her in the ambulance, she blurts out, I have COVID. And they straight armed my brother and wouldn't let him in the hospital. And that was the end.
Oh my God.
She didn't have COVID. She never left her apartment. She never went out. She had no visitors. But that's what she decided to yell out for attention at the last second. And that kept anyone from visiting her or being there. It's kind of funny.
It really is to everyone's detriment when somebody with an illness doesn't get it treated. She suffers, you suffer. I mean, that's the part that gets me, is that people are allowed to go along with illnesses that the longer they go untreated, the more recalcitrant they become. And we just let people go into these horrible states where they couldn't be more miserable and the people around them are destroyed. There's something wrong with how we do that. That we need to adjust that a little bit, it seems to me.
There is something wrong, but it becomes so burdensome and so frustrating when you never see a bit of change that you just withdraw. Like you eventually go, I have a life to lead. I can't be the caretaker for you. And my sister was the caretaker for her forever. And, weekly phone calls from my sister, I just got to unload and tell you what mom did. And it was it was insane. It was so insane. You wouldn't do, it's not a normal thing. It was just like, geez, Louise, what the hell is wrong with her? But it was too late. there was never going to be an awakening. There was never going to be a slow recovery.
Well, certainly after all the years of all that, I mean, it really becomes like I keep saying, you know, with dementia, we have to rush in and help those people. They don't get better no matter what we do. But schizophrenics, drug addicts, bipolar, they get better right away if you treat them. And if you don't treat them, they become recalcitrant and then they get brain damage and are never the same. And so it's, but here, this is the world we live in.
Has there been an advance?
So
has there been an advance in schizophrenia medicine where they can have like what I would consider to be like a time release where the person doesn't have to be responsible for administering?
Yes.
Because
lots of stuff like that. Lots of things like that.
Because it seems to me I often would hear stories about, but I would hear stories about people with schizophrenia. And, oh, by the way, before they killed all those people, they stopped taking their meds. And like,
right.
I just wonder if there's a way to take that out of their hands.
There is. The compliance is the biggest problem with schizophrenia. They always feel normal and that they don't need their meds anymore after a period of time. And unless you have some sort of court order or conservatorship, you can't do anything. And that's what's messed up right now. And that's why you've got streets filled with people that are deteriorating. Yeah, the part that this, you'd appreciate this too. The part that everybody misses on schizophrenia and drug addiction is these are untreated. Even if a nurse is administering the fentanyl or the meth, these are progressive illnesses. They progress. They don't remain static. People will die. And I can't get that through to anybody.
Can you refresh my memory when you told me that alcoholism is progressive, what that meant exactly?
That it has alcoholism is kind of a little bit of a special case in that the longer you maintain your relationship with alcohol, there's bound to be some slow increase in your consumption and increase in consequences. And consequences is really the main thing that progresses, frankly, that you'll have more health problems, you'll have more relationship problems. These things will progress. Now, they may not progress to demise with alcohol, and they can stop and start for periods of time. And some people can kind of keep it under control, so it's sort of a low level. They don't have to really progress. They can kind of control it a little bit. It's hard, but generally it's a if you're untreated or if you're continuing the relationship, it progresses. That's kind of how it goes. Now, how fast
you said it in relation
depends on the person. Yeah.
Yeah, but you said it in relation to my drinking. Like I said, well, I haven't drank in 10 years, and you said, but it's a progressive disease. And I wondered what you meant by that. Like, what would happen if now I go buy a 6-pack and a bottle of Jack Daniels? I mean, am I just going to pick up where I left off, or have I gone to a whole nother level with mental instability where it's going to be like crazy town, worse than before?
It's in and around the program. He'll good times in and around the program. You'll hear people talk about the latter, that it's somehow worse because your disease has been doing push-ups. Not usually. Usually the way it works is you actually delude yourself that you can control it. You start using slowly, and look, I'm fine. I'm great. I got this under control. And in a very short period of time, you're back where you left off, because there's like a hedonic set point. There's like a set point in your brain that it just takes you to if you have this illness, and you've got to get there, and it takes a little while to get there, and then you start, and then you keep progressing from there. So that's the most common way.
I didn't think hedonic could ever be a set point. I thought it was always moving.
No, there's a lot in there. I mean, what do you mean exactly? Like, for instance, everybody has a hedonic
like if
set
I'm a
point,
hedonic treadmill, but like a hedonic treadmill,
hedonic treadmill is something different.
I just wish I had a boat, and then you get a boat, and you're like, now we wish I had a bigger boat. Now we wish I had a plane. Now we wish I had a bigger plane. Now I need to go to space. It just keeps on moving no matter what you get. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Hedonic.
It does do that. That's the progressive part.
It could be set.
No. It's set. It's set in relation to alcohol because you've been abstinent for a long period of time.
We can move on if
this
isn't making sense. We don't need to discuss.
No, it is making sense.
We don't need to discuss hedonic for 5 minutes.
But no, it's an important thing because there's different kinds of hedonia, right? There is eudaimonic wellness, which is how do you lead a good life and be nourished and feel, regulated and, be able to be at service to other people. That's eudaimonia. And then there's there's hedonic euphoria or hedonic, what do they call it? There's eudaimonic and hedonic happiness, which is just the heroin addict has a very high hedonic experience when they take their first hit. But that's not a good life. And it does keep moving, as you say.
No,
we have all kinds of hedonic set points. We have all kinds, right? Go ahead. How can
I experience euphoria without taking drugs?
Well, I'm trying to convince you that hedonic euphoria is not necessarily a good thing. It's not, it's not a bad thing. It's hard for me to say euphoria is a bad thing. You can't say that.
What actions
but there's
can I
something
take
more
to
nourishing.
Euphoria without. Yeah.
Well, you're walking you're walking down a risky path with that, because if you have addiction and alcoholism, it's going to require more and more and more to induce euphoria. So soon it's going to be jumping out of planes. It's going to be, sexual addictions. It's going to be gambling. That's what addicts do. They find other ways to trigger that hedonic experience, as opposed to going over to the more nourishing experience of eudaimonic happiness, which is service, regulation.
I've been trying to kickstart my sexual addiction for years.
I know. It's not worked so well.
It's not working out at all. But
no.
Sucks.
Damn. Shoot. Yeah.
No, I want to feel comfortable just willy-nilly.
Yeah, I know, but there's other kinds of hedonic set points too, right? Like people are happy. This is in the research. They're happy until they can compare themselves to somebody else. Then they're unhappy. They want what that person has. So we have this sort of mimetic desire, some people call it. And by the same token, as you pointed out, we get used to everything. Our hedonic set point adjusts to wherever we are. So all of a sudden it's, I want a fast car. I feel the same. Now I must need a jet. I feel the same. And that's the unhealthy, non-eudaimonic hedonia that we sort of pursue in this country a lot. That all make sense?
And it's kind of funny. Yeah, well, it's also naturally built into you, because it also shows up in the monkey world. We did an interview with a woman who did extensive tests on money and monkeys, and I'm not sure how she did that, but I do know that she said if you would give monkeys bananas, they were totally happy, and then you give another monkey a grape, the monkeys with the bananas didn't want the bananas anymore, and they would throw them on the ground because they wanted the grape, because it seemed like it was a better option.
Correct.
So we're all just effed up, and it's a big old joke and whatever.
That is in the primate system. That we will literally forego a reward to punish in some fashion or ostracize or whatever. I mean, this is all alive and well in social media right now. I mean, you see it all the time. That we would rather punish ourselves than take a reward if it can act out essentially our envy on another person, which is why there's all these religious restrictions, religious sort of warnings about envy being this horrible emotion. It's one of the worst things that humans do. Envy is terrible.
Yeah, what a way to drive you into craziness, being envious. You know the study.
So much of it alive and well.
And it's a pretty extensive, but you know the study where people buy a huge portion of the population that was surveyed would rather live in a neighborhood where they made $150,000 if all their neighbors made $100,000 than live in a neighborhood where they made $250,000 but their neighbors made $350,000.
Correct.
Doesn't that mean we're just broken species? Isn't that nuts?
Well, there's a guy. Well, goes back to our primate heritage. For some reason it had some sort of adaptive advantage, I guess. But
we like to go into other countries and kill each other all the time too.
Well, that's
I know,
another
and I don't
impulse,
mean to be crude. But is this whole thing just a big dick contest?
Well, yeah, and so that's what Freud thought. He sort of distilled it down to that kind of thing. I don't know. That seems a little simplistic to me and not really biological the way we understand it anymore. There's also a guy named Rene Girard who
it seems extremely biological and likely to me.
Seems
that it's built into
anatomical.
Us. It's just like, look at me, look at this.
Well, maybe it seems anatomical and symbolic rather than biologic to me. You know what I'm saying? And so, yes, there's and you're right. There's some of that in there. I believe there is some of it in there, or something like that in there, however we conceive of that. But I feel like the biological systems are so much more complicated than just something simply symbolic like that. But there's another guy named Rene Girard that has this theory of what's called mimetic desire. And he believes that pretty much everything is about wanting something that somebody else wants. That's essentially his which is back to the Capuchin monkey thing. But he builds a whole theoretical frame around that. And he actually thinks that that there is mimetic aggression, and people have taken his theory and said, well, that's why Jesus was such an important symbol, because we no longer tried to kill each other for all these things because this guy died for us. So they could say, that guy died, so we don't have to kill each other anymore because that guy died for all of our aggressive sins. That make sense?
No, not completely, but that could just be my dumbness. But that the whole idea of accepting and digesting that Jesus died for your sins, and believing that in your heart sounds overwhelming to me. That sounds my head would explode.
Well, how about the fact that if you really look at the sort of primitive symbols and the primitive experiences attached to it, not only did that guy die for me, so I don't have to kill other people or kill the king's already died. He died for me, but we drink his blood and eat his body on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And he lives in eternity.
Yeah.
And we still love him. He never goes away.
Yeah.
Well, but
he's still
that's
our leader.
The genius of it. It does. You don't need to.
Yeah.
The Aztecs had to kill somebody every day.
Was he ever a leader?
Yeah, that's
on
why
the Temple Mount.
Was he ever our leader?
Of a few. Of a few.
Feel like he was a leader.
Yeah. He
of a
gave
few
us
people.
kindness and
We're getting into dangerous territory, but of a few people, yes, I would say some people looked at him
was
as
a brilliant idea.
He was a rabbi, right? And so rabbis are teachers, leaders of sorts, right?
This just came up on the other podcast, how Jews wrote the Bible and then Christians took it over and went, see you later, Jews. Now we don't like you. I'm simplifying what we talked about.
You killed our leader. Well, tell us about that podcast. Tell everyone about that podcast.
The After Disaster, which is a podcast we've been doing for 11 years, 600 and something episodes. It's now a subscription only. My podcast is still public, The Miscellaneous Adventures from the World of Mike Carano. And we've been having really exceptional shows on another podcast that I produce called Crazy Money with Paul Ollinger. And we have an exceptional guest coming up next week, but I can't say who it is.
Talk about Paul's show. What is it?
It's a podcast that explores the connection between money and happiness, and it's called Crazy Money. And I talked him into doing this podcast because he made a lot of money at Facebook and was not happy. Felt like he didn't have any purpose in life. He got everything he ever dreamed of, and he still felt empty. So we started discussing it. And you were a guest. You were a guest on the second show. We're now at 135.
Yeah. Wow.
It's a very academic
Crazy.
Listen, so it's not the kind of thing you can just put on and have in the background, but it's been an interesting journey.
You have to listen.
And my podcast is still me yapping into my phone, yelling at AAA.
And Paul's
wherever
a smart
I'm
guy,
at.
so you have to listen carefully. So, so, do you still have 5 minutes with Mike or 3 minutes with Mike or any video streaming stuff out there?
I do a lot of videos for my Patreon people for the podcast, but I have something coming up, which you know how I've been working on this movie about death. Well, of course, in the meantime, I get sidetracked and I worked on something else. And Paul was out here last week and I actually let him watch clips and he's very happy. So we'll see. We'll see if I finish it. You're going to have to
tell me a little bit more.
It's basically I'm Huell Hauser and I spent a lot of time in Death Valley.
Okay, which is true, which is just a statement of fact.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard of the Opera House until I met you.
Yeah. Well, I found a lot of clips from my visits to Death Valley that I don't want to say I think they're funny, but I do think they're funny. And I'm stringing them together in a comedy documentary that may never sell, but who knows? I have no expectations.
Did you go to the?
I'm kind of like
Susan,
a Buddha.
Did you go to the Opera House there?
No, we drove through.
Do you know there's
Death
an opera
Valley.
house? Do you know there's an opera house there?
Okay.
Susan,
I want to tell you, Susan,
no,
the fact
I don't
that
remember.
you went through Death.
I don't remember.
The fact that you drove through
on a
Death Valley
motorhome and I
without
was
visiting my
16.
favorite places hurts me to my core.
We may have, but I was 16, so I didn't care.
She saw Scotty's castle, I bet.
I just wanted to get a tan. So I was with my best friend, Nikki, and it was 113 degrees outside. And we went outside and tried to sit in the sun. That's all I remember. That's how.
That's sort of a symbolic metaphor for Susan's life.
So I was in a bikini in Death
You
Valley.
took a road trip at 13?
No, I was with my parents in their motorhome. Like they drove motorhomes.
Oh.
They had bows and arrows in the back seat.
You're kidding. You're kidding? I hope you're kidding.
So
I wasn't putting them in my mouth at that point.
Have you been canceled yet?
Me?
No, have you? Yeah, it feels like everyone's
times.
getting canceled now.
Yeah,
They
I got
try.
canceled a couple times.
Has it affected you?
More than once over the
Yeah.
last 20 years.
Oh my God.
You've been hit so many times.
So
and it
it's
keeps
never
bouncing back.
And it's never what I say. This is one thing I've learned about it. It's never what you say. It's what somebody said you
I know.
said.
It's someone's perception.
That's what you can.
Yeah.
Not
we
even
could be
not
canceled
even
a million
perception.
times. The horrible stuff we said.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally it's either editing things and taking them out of context, or literally just saying he said X, even though it's not what I said.
Yeah,
and that becomes the cancel.
Yeah.
It's never
Fatty
what people say
Fatty
exactly.
Arbuckle.
Yeah,
Fatty Arbuckle
which is so
got
fascinating
set
to me.
up, and then he became, he branded as a child as a pedophile, and it wasn't true. But his career was already ruined and over. And see you later. Can I point out something real fast if we have a little bit of time? Paul had a really good observation about this. We were talking about Neil Young and Joni Mitchell and people pulling their stuff off of Spotify because in protest of Joe Rogan. And he said he's adamantly against that because what's going to happen is if you start thinking of Spotify as a conservative network and Apple as a liberal network, eventually some country artist or somebody is going to just go, well, I'm pulling my stuff off of Apple. And now it divides it up so the consumer has to buy two services. And I agree with that. I've been all over the map and I'm a hypocrite and I've gone from this side to that side to this and that. But the bottom line is, I think if you're trying to cancel somebody, you need to get a life and just, go get a job or something because you shouldn't be able to cancel people, period. No matter what, in my opinion, if you don't like what somebody says, just turn it off. And this is a new thing for me because 2 years ago, I'd be like, get rid of him, get rid of him, get rid of him. But I've come around to realizing you have no right as a person that doesn't create or doesn't make things to decide who gets to do what they want to do. And I really firmly believe this. And I think it's infuriating. And I'm sorry to end on such a serious note.
Well,
can we go back to the girl, your friend who sells her parts in a jar or something?
Thing. It's the same thing.
We did interview her. You know that we did interview her.
Yeah,
they like you better. How low have you stooped? You know what? I'm going to tune this show out.
No, she was interesting. She was interesting.
Trauma.
She was fascinating.
You guys should meet. You'd be funny.
Yeah,
together.
she'd be a great 5 minutes with Mike.
She's a great co-host. She'd be a fun
mighty
co-host.
adventure.
I'm only interested in meeting people that are potential soulmates. Everyone else, I don't have time.
I was just thinking you'll start dating her. That's what'll happen. That's what will happen.
No, you'll be buying her farts.
You come over, there's just jars
She's
everywhere.
Adorable.
You're like, what's that? Cha-ching!
They do that.
Here's the deal.
They all go to Austria, apparently.
Here's the deal.
I'm very serious. Yeah, I'm very serious about this. We know Angeline sells her clothes, her underwear and stuff out the back of her Corvette. But the person who's selling their farts and stuff, like what does the person who buys that do with it? Do they just save it or do they open it? Like that's the real problem.
I immediately, I knew it was screwed up men immediately who were asking for that, which is why she did it.
Yeah.
Give me a region
buying other people's farts.
Right. Yeah. And where do you think these guys are from? Where were a lot of them from? Like the real enthusiasts.
I know where they're from because
and things.
I know where they're from because I've seen Angeline a lot. She lives in my neighborhood and they're basically, I'm sorry, I'm going to get in trouble. They're German. By and large.
Austrian. Almost. Okay. Right next door. Okay. Austrian.
Yeah.
And
I don't know the difference.
That's where, right. And so I don't know why, but that's what she's met the demand of the marketplace, as they say. But let me get back to the cancellation thing. You said you're mad that people that don't create are able to cancel that people. I'm mad that people who have just learned how to pronounce the words that are names of medication that I've been using for decades, and they think they have an opinion about those medication and how they should be used.
Yeah.
That is disgusting.
You're effed.
That's insane.
You are screwed.
That's insane.
30 years or 40 years of practice and all those years of medical school, and everybody is on par with you now thanks to the internet. I know they're not,
right.
but
that's
I mean
exactly
that's the
right.
opinion. And
that's right.
I'm sorry.
So there's that.
You're effed.
There's that.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. I know it. And there's that. And then there's what's happening to Rogan. I started. Oh, Germany or Florida. That's so funny, Stefan. He's absolutely right. But what with Rogan, I started looking at his guests and stuff. I was, I listen to the podcast. I'm a fan. And I thought, he only books guests that fascinate him so he can keep his attention going and curiosity going for 3 or 4 hours. The whole time when he always is talking to outliers, people with differing opinions. If you want an academic opinion, read a book. It's in the books. It's already there. But he wants to talk to people that makes him go, oh, wow, I never thought of that. Oh, my God, who knows this? Where'd that come from? He says that constantly when he's engaged with the guest. And so that's who he's going to talk to. That he has to entertain himself. He has to entertain other people. That's his responsibility. Not now he thinks now he has said now that because he has such reach, he has to think about balance and giving all their alternatives. But guess what? People aren't going to listen to that so much. They aren't going to listen to those balanced opinions. But okay, I think he's right. He does need to offer those at least, because he has such reach. And we'll see. We'll see how that goes. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. It's very disconcerting. This whole thing, which seems to have only come up 6 years ago, for me at least. But Judd said something a couple of days ago about how, comedy was always the safe place where he thought comedians all were like-minded. And it seemed that way to me too. And then he said when he found out people are on opposite sides and people are fighting each other and people hate each other and people are mean. And that's exactly what I felt years ago. I was like, this isn't what I thought it was. It was my little family and my little home. And it's not like that. There's a lot of fucking anger and bitterness out there with the one place I thought was safe. And it's kind of upsetting that you have to create your own little bubble of like-minded people to hang out with.
Is there a way to get that back?
This is the most depressing topic I've ever. What's that?
No, because maybe it's get back in the clubs. Get everyone back in the clubs together. I don't
know, man. I don't know.
Have free range nights, open. Well, you'd be good at it.
You're a cult doctor, by the way. Don't you have some kind of Hippocratic oath where you have, if I call you and say some of the members are sick, you have to come over or something like that?
If I were the only thing handy,
muscle you
sure.
into it?
If I'm the only thing at hand, yeah. So, what? And if I
use it as a selling point that you'll be our doctor.
And if I discover what you've been doing to people, I'm a mandated reporter. So, you may not like that so much.
Huh. All right. So we have a different room for medical stuff.
Start a kitty cult.
In the cult facility over here.
Kitty cult. All right. Speaking of kitty cult, we got to
Jesus Christ! What are you? You're making it 50 times worse. I'm joking. You want me to start a kitty cult?
We're gonna have a.
No,
we have a new baby arriving.
We have a cat
kitty
coming.
cult.
An actual cat. Wait,
what do you mean you have a baby?
We can put Jack in there.
Oh, the cat.
Paulina's bringing a cat. Yeah, bringing a cat in. So
I know. I'm so worried.
I know.
I hope that she drugged him and got up on the way.
So, Caleb, I hear you sort of giggling in the background. Do you have any questions for Mike?
I'm off the air. I have some questions for him.
Oh,
okay.
I've been saving them.
You sure?
Yeah.
Caleb has had an interesting experience as well.
Yeah.
So
he had the same.
All right.
background.
We're not necessarily, but all right, everybody. Mike, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. I miss you. We got to talk soon.
I miss you guys.
Or something. So.
All right.
And
am I coming over this weekend
out.
or was that?
Yeah, we're around. We're gonna watch the Super Bowl on my couch.
All right.
I don't think I want to go anywhere.
All right.
Okay.
So that'd be good. All right, man. Thank you. Again, give all the plugs.
I forgot what they are. I'm sorry.
Miscellaneous Adventures of Mike Carano.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Paul's.
I was trying to be humble.
Yeah.
Crazy Money with Paul Ollinger. Miscellaneous Adventures in the World of Mike Carano, and then there's the After Disaster, which is subscription only, and you probably wouldn't like it.
Join today.
You might. It's with Anderson, our own engineer from Loveline.
Yeah, it's the old Loveline crew.
Tyler is still there, right? Tyler's still part of what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, he sure is.
We love you too, Bobby, on Restream.
It's usually very funny. Okay, everybody. Thanks, Mike. I'm going to wave you off. Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Always great to see you.
Okay.
See you, man.
I'll talk to you later.
And then
thank you.
To the rest of you, thank you. We really weren't taking calls today. We're just interviewing my friends, essentially.
I think Wednesday's like turning into fun celebrity friend day.
Chat day. Chat with friends day.
We'll call it fart jar day.
Oh, was she fart jar? Was she last week?
I don't know.
Oh, we have Chad Goes Deep next week on Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
Chad and JT. So that should be fun. If you've never seen those guys, they are funny. So that'll be fun.
We go from farts to like COVID vaccination experts.
Thank you, Caleb, for setting this up. Thank you for Susan for producing these things. You can get them at doctor.com/shop. What else? Anything else where we need people to turn up?
And put in the code Dr. Drew and get $5 off.
And
which is basically shipping, and then also the proceeds will go to Hillside's foster care.
Yeah, which is really a great place. Extremely good.
And we are still taking hashtag Where's Dr. Drew bobblehead photos on Instagram and Twitter. So if you want to, get in the running for an autographed one, and you get to be on Ask Dr. Drew and ask him anything for a good half hour. And you can bring whoever you want as long as they're in front of your camera.
There you go.
There's been some really cute ones. We're going to show them tomorrow. I mean, we're showing some of them, but we have some more.
Fair enough. Rex is losing his mind. We're going to get going.
Rex didn't eat today because Jordan left us, and
he really wouldn't eat anything today. It was weird.
Yeah, he's all bummed out.
Huh,
He'll be okay.
Interesting. All right, everybody. We will see you tomorrow at 3:00. Let's see. Next Tuesday we have Bethany Shondarg. We have Chad Goes Deep on Wednesday. Tomorrow
we don't have somebody Tuesday.
We have Arthur Kaplan.
Oh, yeah.
Tomorrow's a big deal. Yeah, medical ethicist coming back, sort of updating all the mandate issues and vaccines and masking, and sort of you get his take on these things.
How do we call this out? God.
Call what out?
Especially in LA, the mandates are ridiculous.
Oh my God, it's ridiculous here, but here we are. I'm at least look. I'm grateful that the state of California is taking a rational position. The fact that the county of Los Angeles is the highest level of incompetence. It's showing the incompetence on full display now. Everybody.
Yeah.
The CDC is loosening. Multiple states are taking appropriate measures. Watch to see what happens to their numbers. They will continue to tumble.
Well, they just said they went down on the news this morning. They're coming down fast.
Taking the mask off is not going to affect the
anything.
Numbers.
Yeah.
They are minimally effective. You heard Dr. Gandhi yesterday. They can help protect you if you have an N95.
It might help you if you have you don't want to get a cold or something else that isn't airborne.
It doesn't protect other people from you at all. And if you're signaling that, I care about other people, that's why I'm wearing a mask, stop wearing the mask because it's not doing that. It's not doing that. All right, everybody, we'll see you tomorrow at 3 for Dr. Arthur Kaplan. See you then.
Nice ending.
The procedure you had done, like we've said, we did in the podcast studio. It's the same procedure.
When he was telling me he was doing it, I felt this familiar. I go, oh, I know this deal already. But I also was like, why am I having this happen again on my face this time?
You thought it was an ingrown hair to begin with, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to bet it was.
Being hairy is the worst curse that I don't want to hear a woman say anything about her vagina ever again. Be hairy and then talk to me.
My friend, this is a burden.
Ask Dr. Drew is produced by Caleb Nation and Susan Pinsky. As a reminder, the discussions here are not a substitute for medical care, diagnosis, or treatment. This show is intended for educational and informational purposes only. I am a licensed physician, but I am not a replacement for your personal doctor, and I am not practicing medicine here. Always remember that our understanding of medicine and science is constantly evolving. Though my opinion is based on the information that is available to me today, some of the contents of this show could be outdated in the future. Be sure to check with trusted resources in case any of the information has been updated since this was published. If you or someone you know is in immediate danger, don't call me, call 911. If you're feeling hopeless or suicidal, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255. You can find more of my recommended organizations